a servant of God. And he's now decided to devote the next couple of years for the service of his state in office as governor. I am driving this process because I believe in him. I have devoted the past 1 year and 3 months entirely to this struggle because I believe that I have found a man who will set the tone, not just for my children, but for my grandchildren, to have a secure state. A state that has a standard for the next generation. A state that has prospects for growth in agriculture, in industries, in the hospitality business, in education. A state that can lead in a lot of ways if Pastor ENO runs it. This state will be safe in his hands. His shoulders have, in recent times, been very much broadened and hardened by all the invectives that have been poured on him, that strengthened him, given him a greater sense of himself. This man, believe me, was made for this office at this time. Those who know me know that I am not one of those characters who sycophant. If I don't believe in anything, I don't believe in it. But believe me, I believe in this gentleman. So today, as I set it to set the tone for this press parley, I do it with humility, with pride, that I will look back a couple of years when I'm fully retired and smile that I made the right decision. And today I want to also call on all the peoples of Akwa Ibom State, in spite of your religious, political, tribal persuasions, to look at what we need to have, a state that we can always call our own. Hand over the power to Pastor ENO and support him. He's going to speak on his programs. I won't do that for him. And I want you to have him listened to.
To present to us the Arise agenda before we proceed to ask him questions. Matters will be arising from whatever he will say. Pastor ENO, please.
Thank you so much, gentlemen of the press, and all Akwa Ibomites listening to us on the various radio stations and across the World Wide Web. Thank you. For me, it's a privilege to sit here this afternoon. I'm humbled by the assemblage of the very cream of professionals in the media industry that have gathered this afternoon to share thoughts with me. And again, I'd like to thank everyone that have helped us to get to where we are so far. My name is UMO Basi Eno. I hail from Ikorekpenudo in Sirubium local government area. My parents were very poor people. My father was a policeman, my mother a petty trader, and I remember helping her start life and helping her in her trade in Lagos. And because I come from a poor family, but there's nothing wrong from coming from that poor background, but you don't remain poor. Today, by the grace of God, we have moved forward. I started my school life in Eket and then to Lagos. and then came back to the University of UMO, where I had my degrees and currently writing my thesis. I've had a work-life experience, and now through the private sector, I started off with the banks and worked up with some other private companies in Lagos before returning home in 1995 to drive a vision that I had from scratch, the royalty hotels. Incidentally, I didn't have the privilege of inheriting anything from my parents, so I built from scratch by the grace of God. You know, sometimes when you inherit, that's a platform higher, but God has brought us this far. I'm into the race for governorship by the grace of God to fill the gaps. That's why our tag is connecting the dots, furthering peace and prosperity of the Akwa Ibom people. Each and every government that have come to Akwa Ibom and have moved the state upward. It has always been forward, forward, forward. And each one lays a platform for the other. And so the state has continuously improved. Under the Governor Dom Emmanuel's, this is just a summary. This government has opened the gateways of Akwa Ibom in the area of land, air, and sea. And all of you are living here, you can see. Even though some people feel that there are no roads in Akwa Ibom, that is the least anyone will say of this government. But I don't know how they get home when they fly in. And so when you find a leader who is very inconsistent in the things they say, and you as journalists could find that out, that one time you say one thing because you want to curry favor, the next time you say another thing, then you know that we have inconsistency in leadership. And so that's your work. I'm sure you can compare notes and see what they said before. So assuming it was that bad. So basically, we want to fill the gaps. There are things that this government have done and have raised the bar, for which every Akwa Ibom son in the world praises it. A government to own Ibom Air, to manage Ibom Air, and it's still flying in the sky. I am ever so proud, you know. And I don't know how you feel when you sit at those airports and they announce Ibom Air going to Uyo, Abuja, Port Harcourt. I don't know how you feel as an Akwa Ibom person. And then you see all the developments that have been done. But there's still more work to be done. And then that's where we come in. We believe we have a blueprint that will help connect what is happening here, particularly to the rural areas. I am focused on the rural development. It is a key thing because we want to build back the middle class. We do not have the middle class anymore in our country, and I believe that the programs we have to offer will rebuild the middle class and then stop the rural-urban migration, as we are going to take development to the people. And that's one of the tag of PDP, power to the people. We want to really see the people enjoy the dividends of democracy. And we're doing this. I have 18 focal sectors that we'll be concentrating on. But all of those 18 is fused into 5 vehicles, which we call the Arise Agenda. And as we begin, we have timelines, we have goals, and we are going to monitor. And of course, by the grace of God, if the Akwa Ibom people, I believe, will support me to become the next governor, we'll bring in even the press, the media, to be part of the team to evaluate what we want to do from day one. I'd like to welcome everyone to this program, and I thank you for the privilege to talk to the Akwa Ibom people. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much. A few questions as matters will arise. As a businessman, you take tithes from source. Akwa Ibom civil servants.
I have said before, I'm saying it again. 2 days to the election, let one man that I have taken tithes from his salary speak up, and I will leave the governorship race and come with evidence, not just saying it on social media. One man. It is unthinkable that people who work for you from different backgrounds to my congregation, that if the reason for your coming to church is to get a contract from royalty, then you are in the wrong place. Because every time we have our interviews, we select based on your ability to deliver. So how can I take tithe? You see, some of these things, you laugh at them, see the person, and show me your payroll where directly or indirectly we have deducted tithe. My staff that have worked with us before, we don't even mark a register like some churches do. It's not compulsory. You feel like you understand the covenant blessing of tithing, you tithe. You don't understand it, nobody should force you. So it's not possible, it's unthinkable.
Okay. Maybe after this second one, every person will be in those days. My question is, in your agri-renaissance, which is one of the key undertakings you intend to take up in your Horizon Agenda, how do you intend to accommodate these schools to the extent that a child who graduates from secondary school already knows the art and science of farming?
Well, it's a holistic package where you want to introduce agriculture and make it a way of life for our people. You have to inculcate it in the school curriculum and ensure that we have back our agri farms, and you train the students. You have a committee that will award prizes to motivate those schools, and you begin from there, and you also ensure that everyone that will be in government will own a farm. It should be part of it. We have to know that you own a farm, and you are not going to own a farm in Uyo except you come from Uyo. You must own a farm in your village, and so that we know that you are going home, you are actively involved in what is happening back home. So the agricultural revolution is going to be an holistic thing where we ensure that whatever crop we decide to grow in that area, everyone connected to government and even the locals who grow that crop will have to get our extension workers back to work, because I know that the extension workers, they are posted to areas. We have to bring them together again and ensure that everybody just have that focus, and again begin to see that at the end of the day, government is prepared to offtake whatever is left, and we can now have a full food value chain in those areas, so that people will be glad to plant, knowing that there is a steady market. So agriculture would be an holistic venture for everybody. People would love to do it because you now see that there's money doing it, and it's not going to be just the cutlass and whole type of. It's going to be a mechanized kind of agriculture where people will know now you can sit, on an equipment and you're planting cassava. So it's fun. We're going to ensure that government will get all of this equipment and then begin to deploy it to people that are into big time farming. We want to encourage them. We want to say, okay, you have 2 hectares of farmland you want to plow. We should be able to program it and send the equipment to your farm and say, okay, but again, we must also be able to work with you, maybe with some scheme, outgrower scheme, And if we support you and you get this, we'll uptake from you. Because we want to set up a factory that will use what you have as raw materials to finish what we want. So for example, you do cassava, we want to uptake from you so that we can have our gari, we can have our fufu, we can have our starch. It's such an interesting experience. And in one planting season, you find out that there will be food. You can drive down the price of food, at least the first basic thing. And people are working. People enjoy the work. So you're achieving so many things by just that program. That's what we want to do. So from school, even primary school, secondary school, we begin to make them fall in love with agriculture. The whole idea is how you teach these students, and then they fall in love with it. Naturally, they'll be able to tell you, don't do this, and some of them may even have their farms at home. And so it's going to be a way of life. It's going to be a way of life for our people.
Okay. General press, we are set to take your questions. So just, okay, we'll start with Comrade Comfort. Now, I believe you're just joining us. This is broadcast media chat live. You can join us wherever you are on all radio and television stations across the state. You can also join us online. Okay, Comrade Umar.
Good day, sir. You always say that you will continue from where this administration will stop. There are good and the bad ones. Which one are the bad ones that you will not want to take? That's number one. Number two, rural development. What are the things you will specifically do in the rural developments to enhance life in the rural areas? 3, gratuity and pension. Will you pay or you will continue to owe?
Okay, please, your name and station you represent.
My name is Comfort Omana, Redemption 101.5 FM, Ujon Toyong.
Okay. Let's take the second, maybe 3 questions. Then
can you let me just so that it doesn't.
You want to go?
Television Authority (NTA) here in Uyo. Pastor, I would like for you to please tell us, in very concrete terms, how do you impress and convince your electorate that you're the best man for the job to occupy the Hilltop Mansion? Because the contenders have very promising CVs, very promising manifestos. How do you get them to get convinced that 11th of March they will vote for you? Number 2, there's been loads of disagreements, anguish from the people of Oron Nation. They say there's been a lot of division in the past with the outgoing government, and they say there have been issues, they've been cheated, and for the last number of 9 years from running, promises made by the government hasn't come to fulfillment in their areas. Now there have been concerns, and they feel from fillers we got that they've been marginalized. How do you hope to change this narrative? How do you hope to bring about the change the people need? Again, there's been reports about out-of-school children, and at some point in this history, from the reports from the National Bureau of Statistics, is that Akwa ranked the highest in the southern states of out-of-school children at the primary school level. How do you intend to do this? I mean, last year's report, October 2020, to be precise, UNESCO came up with a report that there were 20 million children, out-of-school children in Nigeria. Well, for us here in Akwa State, they're saying is that we're ranked as the highest in the southern.
Mr. Oku, please,
part of Nigeria.
you might have to just go straight to the questions. Please, for time management, just present your questions and then leave the background. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Favor Kayode.
You don't want me to answer the questions as they come, because once it's loaded.
Okay,
then
okay, please, let's
you get
just
the
pause.
people
Let's
bored,
just pause and
you know.
allow him take on the ones.
It's a
asked.
fresh parley, I'm sure. So
Yes, go ahead.
let me have the opportunity to also respond to a few of them. Then we go on. Maybe if I respond well, you may not have to repeat. So that's what I think. I'm here. I'm open. And I'm not going to sit here and claim perfection. Saints are not made on earth. In the Catholic Church, I hear that saints are made many, many, many years after you are gone. So I'm not going to say, one of the only things I see about this government that is weak is that the people that have had to benefit from this government don't speak out for the government. And if I'm given the privilege by the Akwa Ibom people, that will change. There are many, this government has done a lot. They've done empowerment and they've done all of that. And the same people, because people don't know, this governor is not a governor that, like so much publicity. So nobody talks about it. But I studied political science and we can name them. But since I'm not a spokesperson for this government, I will not dwell. I'm telling you what we will do, building on what this government has done already. Governor, you can't govern in a vacuum. And of course, strengthen those areas. And where we see that they've done well, we build on it to the benefit of the Akwa Ibom people. That's one of the things. And in the rural development, we're looking, you see, that is where we want to be big. I've identified that we have infrastructures. In the infrastructure is all over the state, and we can name them. But we need to connect it to the rural people. We need to, if we've built a road, like all of the roads that are being opened, the rural people must be able to have economic benefit of that road. How do we ensure that that road benefits them? What have we put in place? So we want to look at how we can sustain and build roads. We want to build markets. We want to give them hospitals, cottage hospitals, actually. In my plan, the health plan, we want to be able to ensure that at least in every ward, there should be a functional cottage hospital. We want to restore ambulance services. A pregnant woman wants to deliver at 12 midnight and is in my remote village of Ikorekpenudom. That woman cannot get to the general hospital in Eket. And so we want to be able to have ambulances positioned somewhere. And it's not rocket science. In this day of technology, you can always call the control and someone should supervise the control and make sure that those ambulances are there and can deliver on emergency. We want to be sure that there's water in every community. There are simple ways of doing that. Solar panels, you do that and let at least connect villages so that they can have basic drinking water. You want to do massive skill acquisition training for our rural people so that in every community they can have basic needs, basically, basic needs. There's even nothing wrong in some communities. You set up a little more for them so that, these are the things, and they are not rocket science. It takes you planning to ensure that you do it. And then the question about how do I want to impress and convince the electorate that I'm the best. The truth is, I'm engaging the electorate. See, I'm not going to sit here and everybody that have come this far in this race, I believe, have what it takes to run the state. But again, you want to look at what direction, look at our antecedents. The best way, it's up to the electorate to make their choice. We're doing the best we can to tell them, by the grace of God, we represent that dream you want. We'll be able to interpret it. But that's why there's an election. That's why the people must decide. But the people will also know that they will live with the consequences of the choice they make on the 11th of March. You know our antecedents. We are not just, we didn't just spring up. You know, for me, I've lived in Akwa Ibom since 1995. I've been here. Like I've said, I returned from Lagos when I was my boss, the last woman I worked with, the group executive vice chairman of Norman Holdings, has been with me on the campaign trail. So I resigned and said I saw an opportunity to create employment in Akwa Ibom, to do business in Akwa Ibom. And when people were going to Abuja and Port Harcourt, I returned back home. In the dark days of the military, I'd always had Akwa Ibom in mind and started my business just to engage our people. We have grown the business. I'm not telling fallacy. This is not happening in the moon or in the skies. I'm not declaring profits that we can't see with your tax returns. My tax returns are available. We can check what we've been paying. When someone comes on and say, I have done business and I moved the business to 800 and something million dollars, billion dollars, I like to see your tax return. I like to see it. You see, we shouldn't just throw all of my life. I serve. I'm a pastor. I serve. I run the hospitality. I'm in the hospitality business. I serve. So the Akwa Ibom people will have to choose between a servant lead, serve you, because he sees it as of right. But we're coming to the electorate and saying to them, home in 1995, and he has built a business that have put Akwa Ibom people to work. He has worked with multinational company, Royalty Hotel, it for 12 years, and employed Akwa Ibomites. As you expand, when it finishes, you demop, and then not to talk of the market women, not to talk of families you put food on their table. This is not something that is in the air. I have hospitality industry. You will see the kind of things we've done. We've taken the common things and we've made it real. You won't and buy our car in the morning because we had to make sure we have snacks, so many things you can do to create the kind of city we all coastline. And someone said, no, we are 149. Please Google. And that if elected, I will serve them. Whether I'm the best or I'm not the best is for the electorate to decide. But so I'm not going to people will benefit from it. I live here. I do my businesses here. I have assets here. And so every other person in this, I have my treasures in Akwa Ibom. And I'm going to ensure other questions I've not finished. You know, you talked about the gratuity and pension. When this government backlogs, and this government paid those backlogs, and what we have is with gratuity. Areas that are weak, there are areas that will strengthen, makes up your budget. And then there must be an account. And then you begin to pay down. You ensure that, okay, you put that have been financed by the bank. And I don't think any bank in this state or in this say we're owing or we're not servicing our debt. So it's part of the debt you owe. And so there's always a debt servicing plan. The government must have the will. I do the first month in office. From the second month, you will in your plan and appropriate is never satisfied. But again, during my campaign, I went around also issues, position or no, the location. This is something we will resolve. We must sit down and resolve it. The truth is that I have been part of the system, so I have a clear coronation is that the seaport will be pursued to a logical conclusion to the benefit of what will sit down. The people, until you sit behind it of the United States, it will be very difficult for you to say what you will do, what you will not do. So the promise I make to Akwa Ibomites and our brothers and sisters from our nation, whatever problem that there is, and then you know that. And in terms of marginalization sport, We have 4 people as strategic board. We know that the thing I do will get a briefing. So God's grace. We'll take on this kind of briefing a town hall for every federal constituency. And we will go there after 30 years. I have an oral woman as my running mate. The Beijing conference said 35%. As a woman, with a woman as a deputy governor, it's increased to 50%. So it's 50-50, you know, of statistics, so that we can always have them do what their work and can give us the basis of all of either a DG or a permanent secretary or whatever name. I don't know the nomenclature. So again, please excuse me that, but we have a head that will always bring, as we go to talk with donor agencies, we'll need our statistics verified, you know. So we'll do that, make them comfortable. The press must keep working again, talking with the DG now. The government printing press uniforms. And that again, for me, is an avenue to create jobs. The fashion people, you have your shops, and I'm going to bring in machines, and put the shop around it, and ensure that, okay, maybe using uniforms, these sizes. So you're providing job for them, school interesting, putting IT in those schools. It's not rocket science, where your parents will literally, you know you have to go except you want, and you're going to school. In each local government, we're going to sit down and work it out. And we get student buses, and you can enter free. But a young child will want to go to school because there's a vehicle waiting, you know the time, and then I don't want to be in class. Why will I wear a torn uniform? And this other one is wearing a good uniform. They make jest of him. I've been through it. The level, so government tries to be an enabler of all those things. Children will want to go to school. These are things of an organization, transport, at the time they bring them back, drop them off at the bus stops, and they get back. Struggle when they come for meeting to stop me from opening their what who I am. And so I will serve the Akwa that I will be accountable to God for the opportunity that He would have made available to me.
Thank you very much. Okay. Before we return to English, and then also take notice that when we come back, we also want to field questions from this side of the